Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend RJ City, and this is the Hollywood Squared Circle, where we talk about wrestling episodes of non-wrestling shows. And today we are talking about Maniac Mansion Season 3, Episode 10, entitled Wrestling with the Truth. For those of you who don't know, well, it seems like I'm the only person who actually does know about this show, but I promise you, everyone should. It's loosely based on the 1987 Lucasfilms Games-produced video game Maniac Mansion. Wanting to make a TV series, they somehow brought on Eugene Levy to create, develop, and write, and he brought on a murderer's row of SCTV staff and actors, including Paul Flaherty, Mike Short, and John Hemphill. They turned the show into a supernatural, sci-fi, genre-bending family sitcom where Fred Edison is an inventor who lives with his family in his inherited mansion, which is on top of a meteor that does weird things, including turning their toddler son into a giant and his brother-in-law into a fly with a human head. Astoundingly, Maniac Mansion aired on YTV in Canada and the Family Channel in the US from 1990 to 1993, spanning 3 seasons and 62 episodes. It starred Joe Flaherty as Fred Edison, Deborah Thieker as Casey Edison, Kathleen Robertson as Tina, Avi Phillips as Ike, George Buzza as the giant toddler Turner, Mary Charlotte Wilcox as Idella, and John Hemphill as her wife, Harry the Fly. This wrestling episode also stars Canadian wrestling legend Dewey Robertson, better known as the Missing Link, as the Atomizer, and this is already my favorite cast of all time. Anyway, here's what happens. Fred and Turner are play wrestling in the living room. Fred is playing the role of the demented Sheik, and they're cutting promos on each other when Turner picks up his dad and presses him over his head and slams him on the ground, which is a great use of the classic comedic dummy. And then Fred reveals he has 2 tickets to the wrestling show to see Turner's favorite wrestler, the Atomizer. So they go to the show, and it's a typically dingy arena, except John Hemphill is there playing an entirely different character of the ringside commentator who insists on eating a submarine sandwich during all his commentary. Anyway, in the ring is the Atomizer, and he's wrestling the freaked out hippie who is managed by Society's Child, which is my favorite manager wrestling name ever. And the hippie is putting heat on the Atomizer, and he makes a peace sign and then pokes him in the eye, and then he takes out his love beads and starts choking the Atomizer out with them. But then Turner is like, enough of this shit! And he storms into the ring, and he press slams Hippie into the stands. And the Atomizer is like, holy shit, cool, and he just raises Turner's hand. The next day, there's a knock at the door, and it's the Atomizer with the sleazy promoter named Joey Jones. They want to book Turner full-time and have him team with the Atomizer. And Turner's like, fuck yes. But the family's like, let's think about this. So the family debates, and they're like, okay, we can let him wrestle, but Fred, you first have to tell him that wrestling is fake. So Fred tells Turner it's fake, and Turner not only doesn't believe him, he now hates his father. We've all been there before. So the family's like, okay, Turner, you can wrestle. So they tell the promoter's like, that's great, but what are we going to call him? He's a kid, so we gotta call him Kid something. Kid. I got it. We'll call him Kid. Which, I know I've already said this, but I promise you, Kid is the best wrestling name I've ever heard. So now there's this wonderful classic montage of Turner just beating the shit out of dummies in wrestling rings with spinning newspapers, all filled with jokes and talking about Turner's rising success. He wins the title, he's cutting promos, everything's going swimmingly. But then the announcer asks him on camera if there's anyone he wants to thank. And Turner thanks everyone in his family but his father. So now, Fred is heartbroken. So Fred invites the promoter and the Atomizer over to the house to explain the situation. It turns out that the Atomizer had no idea that wrestling was fake either, because the promoter has kept him completely in the dark. But the Atomizer doesn't want to see a father and son fighting, so he agrees to go lie to Turner and tell him that wrestling is really fake. So there's this touching scene between the Atomizer and Turner where the Atomizer has his fingers crossed behind his back to tell Turner that wrestling is fake. It's so fucking touching. So then Turner decides if wrestling is fake, then it's really not for him. So he should stop wrestling and go patch things up with his father. And the promoter and the Atomizer reluctantly understand, so they all have this emotional goodbye, and it's revealed that the Atomizer and promoter seem to have the same father-idiot-son relationship. And the promoter agrees to let the Atomizer steer the car on the way home. I know you've never seen this episode, mainly because you've never seen this show, but I urge you to seek it out and watch it. It got me deep. Well, that was the wrestling episode of Maniac Mansion. This has been the Hollywood Squared Circle, and I have completely wasted your time.